Hello, folks. Good evening. How are you doing today? You're welcome to another edition of Just Banter. We've been away for quite a bit. When you're relocating, moving countries, things can get a bit, tight somewhere along the line. Always so much to do, so much to deal with at every point in time. Today, we're looking at Christmas. Everybody's picking up the pace, everybody's running, it's time. All the excitement, the usual stuff that goes around when it comes to Christmas. That means that a lot of people get to move around a lot of people get to travel, and travel is under a lot of pressure during these times. I recently traveled and wow, 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 it was a nightmare. The things that happened, the things that I went through. I actually told myself, is it possible for me to actually go through this with a Nigerian airline? And this actually happened with a foreign airline, a European airline, Lufthansa. When I say it was a nightmare, trust me, it was a nightmare. I went through quite a lot. There were several things that I told myself during the course of that, ordeal. And one of them was that I needed to talk to people in the aviation industry in Nigeria. And you might wonder why I focus on Nigeria so much. But I'll remind you, I'm a Nigerian. And one of the things that I'm looking forward to is Nigeria getting to a point where we can all look at it and be extremely proud of that country. So I said to myself, you know what? I need to talk to a couple of people in the aviation industry. So I started looking for them. Apparently, there's a very good friend of mine who happens to be an aviation expert. And I had to reach out to him and say, you know what? I need to bring you on, and we need to talk about this. We need to look at what is going on with aviation. We need to understand why aviation is under so much pressure. And then we now need to look at aviation in Nigeria. What are the challenges? Why are things, I don't want to use the word online, but basically a lot of people cry when they fly in Nigeria. You have delayed flights, you have canceled flights. A lot of the times they don't even get in touch with the passengers to tell them that this is what is going on. But that is what we see at the front end. What actually happens at the back end? What are the challenges that these airlines face? Some of them have spoken about having high cost of operations. Some of them have spoken about having, ineffective staffing policies, all sorts of stuff that cuts across, in different ways. So tonight I'm going to be talking to an aviation expert. His name is Akin Eric-Garuba. Akin has been in the aviation industry since I don't know, probably since the Wright brothers, maybe since when the first aircraft, took off. That's when Akin has been in the aviation industry. That he's been, managing aviation. Akin is not a pilot, nor is he a cabin crew, but he has been at the administrative side of things. So let's bring Akin on now. Hello, Akin.
Yeah, good evening.
Good
It's
evening.
good to be here.
How are you doing tonight?
Nice. Great, great. Good to be here. Even at a short notice, at least we can still put up one or two things.
Yes,
How are
we
you
know
doing?
we are good. I said that you have been in the aviation industry since the Wright brothers, since the first aircraft took off. So you are in a good position to tell us quite a few things about what is going on when it comes to the aviation industry. Now, I traveled recently and I had a nightmare, and this was with a European airline, Lufthansa. With Lufthansa, they showed me
Yeah.
fire. As in when I say fire, I mean fire.
Hmm.
First, my flight was delayed, then it was cancelled 3 times. Now, Lufthansa is still expecting that I'll still be in Frankfurt, waiting to be flown 1 week later. No communication, nothing. And nobody has an idea of what is going on. Now, we have seen similar things happening when it comes to the aviation industry in Nigeria. What are the challenges, Aki? I can see we have another guest here, Mr. B.O.N. Let me bring Mr. B.O.N. on. Hello, sir. Hello? Okay, I don't think he's aware that he's here. Anyways, Akin, what is going on in the aviation industry? Why are we having these challenges? Why do we have this many troubles?
Yeah, thank you very much once again for being on this live show. I must say I've been in aviation now for over 25 years or more. And I will say in 3 words, the challenges in aviation has to do with the spare parts, it has to do with foreign exchange to buy spares. And
Yeah.
currently what we are facing in Nigeria is Jet A1 scarcity. Jet A1 is actually the fuel for aircraft. And over the years, we've come to realize that training too, which is part of the aviation sector, has been greatly eroded completely. Like I would say, we are one of the few last batch that actually enjoy what Nigeria Airways Training School was all about. And when you go to Nigerian Airways Training School, you are grounded. You go through the rigorous of training, you are versatile, and you can do 1 or 2 roles without or little or no supervision. I can tell you for once that I started as a cargo officer. From there, I moved to passenger service to the ticketing officer, dangerous good regulation. At the point, I was heading a Dubai office over the years. But greatly, what I'll just say is the major challenge right now. It has to do with the space, which are readily not available. It has to do with the mode of payment for even the spares. Then, when we come up, they call something AOG. AOG means aircraft on ground. When you have aircraft on ground and you order for spares, that's why you see for people, they have partnership with other airline in foreign country. When I was heading the Ilorin office, we were in partnership with one aviation company in South Africa.
Yeah.
They call the agreement we had was ACMI. ACMI means aircraft, crew, maintenance, and insurance. At any point in time, your aircraft should not be on ground. Aircraft are meant for flying in the first place, and there's no way you keep your aircraft on ground when you have a scheduled operations. But it's most unfortunate that even what we have in Nigeria airspace now, they don't even keep to the schedule. They will come up with various reasons not to operate, and you can't help it. And there's no communication with your passenger service. The passenger service unit should be able to communicate effectively well with the passengers you have sold a seat to. What are we selling? It's not the fine aircraft, it's the seat. If I have a 30-seater aircraft, I have 120-seater aircraft, I should be able to sell, and I should be able to communicate back if there's a change, at least 24 hours, even at most 12 hours. I have a friend, I do their air logistics, and he's a personal friend. I help out in air logistics. Best of Nollywood, and recently we had issues with the last bond they had in Imo State, always host. Imo State was the last host, rather. And
what is born?
Sorry?
What is born?
Best of Nollywood Award. They do it every first week of December every year.
Okay.
And I've been part of it in the last 5 years. This Best of Nollywood have the A-list actor and actress, and they give them award. Now you bought a ticket with an airline, and on a day before your flight was meant for 10 a.m. and the airline sent a mail 2 a.m. to the director of Best of Nollywood and said, your flight is going 7 a.m.
Was
How
it a
do you
charter
expect
flight?
It's not, it's a passenger service flight. And how do you expect him to meet up with the actress and actors that are supposed to be on that flight? Of course, you know how it is with Nigerians celebrating. Somebody coming from Lekki and you're telling him to get to Ikeja 10, All of a sudden, you are calling the person 12 midnight to get to the airport for 7 a.m. My problem with Nigerian airline is not about changing flights arrangement. Do they have recourse to even the passengers they are carrying? You have a contract of carriage. That's your ticket, and everything is stated. Of course, now everything is online. Most passengers don't even know it. They don't even know the contract of carriage, which makes it even very difficult for you to complain to NCA and they set up a committee or they want to look into what happened, because you don't even have your contract of carriage. You don't even know what it's all about.
No, but
Long short of it, about four of them made that flight to Owerri. Coming back, they have the same issues. The issue they had coming back was 34 passengers. They're supposed to come back to Lagos. They actually came late because they had a breakfast with the governor. Even when they got to the airport like 30 minutes before departure. Of course, in aviation industry, once the door is shut and the pilot has called for startup, you won't open the door. You cannot say you want to open the door and you put more passengers, because there's one thing they call LMC. You must have submitted your low sheet. You must have submitted your manifest.
Yeah.
And that's, again, I looked at it and said, what if it's the airline that got it wrong? We agreed it's the passenger this time. What if it's the airline that got it wrong? What efforts are they going to make life more comfortable for those 34 passengers? So these are the challenges we find ourselves in the aviation sector, and NCA in itself should be able to address issues. They are the regulatory body. They are the one making the laws, dotting the I's and crossing the T's. And NCA customer protection unit, I feel to some extent, have not been up and firm with the airline itself. Those are the areas I feel is actually affecting more on the passenger asset.
Okay, so before we go on, I think we have lost Mr. Loketui. I would have loved for him to join us so that we could actually, hear his own views on, what actually happened, and for him to speak from the perspective of a passenger. So we'll try and reach out to him again now to see, what his issues are. I think it's a technical issue. I think he needs to reconnect his mic and his camera for us to be able to, bring him on. But in the meantime, Akin, when you say that recourse, NCAA, passenger rights and all of that, how many people actually know what their rights are? It is one thing for you to know what your rights are. It's another thing for you to be able to get the type of support that you need in order to effect your rights. So take, for instance, a lot of people don't have any trust in the Nigerian justice system at any level, be it dealing with LASMA, which is a Lagos State organization, all the way to dealing with the courts in itself. So much less you dealing with NCAA or you dealing with the airlines and trying to effect your rights and saying, look, you know what, for you to have delayed the flights, you owe me compensation of some sort. Now, I know that those laws exist, but how does a passenger get to know what those laws are, where those laws are written, and then who or whom do they get to deal with when it comes to these types of issues? Let's start from there.
Thank you very much. We will say this new system of issuing tickets has really affected the condition of carriage. Those conditions of carriage are actually, if you can recall those days when we still write tickets by hand, you'll see some leaflets at the back. Even then, a lot of passengers don't even go through it, they don't read it.
Oh, okay.
Now
So
it's online.
those things are written at the back.
Definitely, those things are written at the back of your tickets, your condition of carriage. But most people don't even know it. And most airlines know, a lot of passengers don't know about it. I'll tell you what, you're flying an international route. At the point I was heading the Dubai office, and we do Lagos, Dubai, we do Lagos to Kano, we have a tech stop in Kano, and we go to Dubai. And when you get to Dubai, you feel and you're coming back. If we have, anytime we have a delayed flight, or we have cancellation, it is the duty of the airline to put you in an hotel and feed you until when the next flight is available. That itself no longer exists. I'm not even sure of the international airline. Maybe the international airline are not doing it.
Okay, but that is for international flights.
I said even international flights, those laws don't exist. Those things don't exist anymore.
It does not.
The last time you said you were on Lufthansa, what happened to you? Were you housed? Were you put in an hotel for you to stay?
Well, you see, adequately.
For how long was your delay?
I was in Frankfurt for almost 48 hours. I had to leave Frankfurt.
And you were at the airport?
Oh no, definitely not. Of course, I went to the airport for check-in. I went to the airport to try to board my flight. Flight was delayed, then later flight cancelled, all those kind of things. But at the tail end of it, I had to leave Frankfurt and go by high-speed train to another city called Dusseldorf. I now caught a flight from out of Germany via Dusseldorf. That's how I left. Now, they were supposed to put me in a hotel. They were supposed to pay, or rather, they were supposed to put me in a hotel. They were supposed to transport me to the hotel and back to the airport. They were supposed to take care of feeding and all of that. That is all under the EU law. Under the EU law, if your flight is delayed,
that's actually the standard procedure. Any airline, anywhere
in the world. If your flight is delayed, according to the EU law, for over 3 hours for a short haul flight, over 4 hours for a short haul flight, 3 hours for a long haul flight, you get compensation, somewhere around 600 euros, something like that. And that compensation must be paid to you whilst you are boarding the next flight that has been organized for you. Not later, not 2 days later, not 10 days later, not 1 week later. That day that you are leaving. And in that period where you are still under the airline's care, the airline must take care of everything, accommodation, feeding, and all of that. But that did not happen. But that law is still in effect. It is still in effect. So what I don't understand now is that in Nigeria, do we have anything along those lines?
Thank you, sir. I mean, I don't want to speak for airlines. That should be the procedure. But lately, from what I have experienced flying in Nigeria, I don't see even the customer care unit of the airline, which is the passenger service department of the airline, doing anything. The first thing first, when you have a delay, the next thing to do is to go to your customer passenger service unit and make a complaint. Tell them about especially if it's a multi-sector flight, and tell them this is how it is. They can take it up, put you in the next available airline, and see how they can resolve it. But because of I would say maybe the economy, those procedures are no longer there. And I would say it's most unfortunate. People just fly for the sake of, let me get from my point A to my point B. because at that point you are desperate. You have a meeting, you have a deadline to meet, and everything, and you just want to go. Just like you left your airplane, have to take an alternative arrangement to move out of because you have a deadline.
Yeah.
And so that's why you see most people in Nigeria want to do something, and once the airline is not there, they don't want to fly. Those good old days, they'll tell you your yardstick in aviation. You're coming up with one airline, they'll tell you your yardstick is go to Aero. They'll tell you go to Aero. So where is Aero today?
Yeah, but at the end of the day,
if you want to fly,
we don't even have any dependable airline, right now. So
right now,
somebody was telling me
I
about
don't think so.
Somebody was telling me about his experience 2 days ago. I won't mention the airline. And he said he was at the airport from 9 o'clock for a 10:30 flight and did not leave till 6 in the evening. He's not the only one. There are several people that have, that have said things along those lines. I have experienced it plenty of times.
Those things happen. Hello?
Even the person that makes broadcasts at the airport that is supposed to give you flight information via the public address system. Do you even hear what the person says? Hello, Aki, can you hear me? Hello? Okay, I think there seems to be a network issue. But in the meantime, what we're saying is, a lot of the times, a lot of people are stranded at the airport. And when we say stranded, it doesn't mean that you have to be at the airport overnight for you to be stranded. You can be at the airport during the day. You have appointments and all of that. But because you're already in the airport, say for instance, in Lagos, where we all know what the traffic situation is, and then somebody drops you off at the airport, you have a meeting to, somewhere else, maybe in Abuja or in Port Harcourt or in Kaduna or any other part of the country where you're going to. And then you now sit at the airport and you're now waiting. And these airlines just do not say anything. I mean, with what I went through with Lufthansa, what I actually said to myself was, it's not possible for me to go through this with a Nigerian airline. It cannot be this bad. So much so that there are tons of people in Frankfurt that are stranded. There are tons of people in Düsseldorf stranded. There are tons in London stranded, in different cities, waiting for Lufthansa to do something. And Lufthansa can't do anything. Some passengers actually flew from London to New York using Lufthansa. And 10, 12 days later, they were still waiting for their luggage. Yes, I know things can get really, really funny in Nigeria, but I'm not sure anybody can tell me that they've actually gone through that. Then to not make matters worse, you would not believe what the customer service was like. It was terrible. Really, really terrible. A lot of the times we say that, or rather there's a catchphrase that a lot of people say where they say, only in Nigeria. But it's not only in Nigeria that these kind of things happen. A lot of nasty things happen in different parts of the country, different parts of the world that we don't get to hear about or we don't get to talk about. I think we have Akin back. Okay, his network seems to be buffering. We'll wait till his network picks up. A lot of the times, okay, his network is back. Hello, Akin. Hello. Technology can take the pee sometimes, but that's what it is. So now, I spoke to somebody a few days ago. I was telling him about my experience. He was now trying to compare his experience in Nigeria to the experience that I had with Lufthansa. And I kept on telling him that, can you tell me that you have actually experienced something as bad as this with a Nigerian airline? Then I now put up a post on Facebook for other people, to give me their own opinions when it comes to this type of issues. And some people are of the opinion that Nigeria can send you down a rabbit hole when it comes to issues of customer service. Akin, we have you back.
Yeah, sorry for the loss. The connection went off.
It's technology. I mean, it happens everywhere, even in rural England where I am. When I say rural England, people laugh. But it is true. It can be very rural here because the networks can be very terrible as well. Now, I was just saying that I put up a post on Facebook to talk about my experience with Lufthansa. Simply because I had a discussion with a friend who was complaining about his own experience with a local airline in Nigeria.
Okay.
I was not asking, can anybody tell me they have had an experience that bad with a local airline in Nigeria? I've not heard anybody say so far. People keep saying things like only in Nigeria. But I'm saying that it's not only in Nigeria that you have bad customer service. It's not only in Nigeria that services break down. It
That's
happens
correct.
everywhere. It happens everywhere in the world. But we
Yeah,
keep bashing Nigeria. We keep saying that Nigeria is the worst of the worst.
that's correct.
Now, before we lost you there, we were asking, where do we start when it comes to passenger rights? The NC, how do people get to know, this is what their rights are? Then who do they contact? Now, those people that they're going to contact, are those people going to be effective in dealing with those issues?
Yeah. Well, I would say the first point of call, if you have issues with any airline, will be the station manager. A station manager is the face of the airline. You are the MD of that airline at your station. For you to be a station manager, that means you're trained, you know what you're doing, and you can handle situation. You don't need to call the head office, call your ground operation to handle issues.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen experiences like this that I had an issue with one of the distinguished senator's wife when I was in Ilorin. The wife and two of the daughters are going back to school in Abuja. Then we had aviation fuel issue.
Mm-hmm.
Aircraft came in from Lagos to Ilorin. Then we're using a 30-seater aircraft. And we have to pick, there was no fuel in Abuja. Lupcon in Ilorin had fuel. Now, I have to sit down with my captain and say, look, this is the situation. We want to go to Abuja. This is the number of passengers we have. We have to pick this number of fuel, the liters of fuel that we are picking, so that we can come back to Ilorin, do Abuja leg, come back to Ilorin and go to Lagos. There's fuel in Lagos, there's no fuel in Abuja. What do I have to do? I have to okay, let's meet. We put us together. And the captain said, Eric, if this is the case, you're dropping off 200 kg of passenger baggage so that we can accommodate more fuel. We can accommodate all the passengers you have, which is technical.
Mm-hmm.
And that has to do with, okay, how do I handle the passengers with those baggages? And I called those passengers. I addressed the passengers at the lounge and said, look, this is the situation. In airline business, safety comes first.
Oh, yeah.
Not even your profit. Of course, you don't want us to drop off here if you don't have enough fuel. You guys, if you know you have a baggage, that you have valuables that you want to use in Abuja, you can bring it and take it out, because I'm going to drop like 200 kg so that I can accommodate more fuel to take us to Abuja, back to Ilorin, back to Lagos. And they all agreed. I said, trust me, the second day, you guys have to come to the Abuja airport and pick your baggages. Fine, they agreed. So one of the senator's wife now came to me and said, sir, I have an issue. I said, what is it? He said, my daughters are going into a boarding house. That's why I'm following them to Abuja. If you can allow me, let me take their baggage, because they won't be able to come out of the school to come to the airport the following day to pick their baggage. As a parent, the first thing I do that, I say, yeah, that's more reasonable. I say, okay, since there are children involved and they're going to school, they won't be able to come out, fine. I'll pick their bags. And while we were checking in, everybody was on queue. One of the passengers just picked quarrel. Is it because he's a senator's wife? Is it because why? But you said then what? I was trying to explain to this woman just flare up. I said, madam, will you allow me? Let me just explain myself. At the end of the day, she threw the ticket at me and walked away. They just picked the ticket. Like we were saying, before I digress, I said, okay, since that's the way she wants it, that means she's missing the plan. I said, let me pick a 75 kg per pax. I see picks 1 or 2 baggages and had. I shouldn't have to waste. Right. Those are discretionary reasoning. As a station manager, you should take as a critical point, not waiting for your MD or your head of ground operation in Lagos to give you instruction. But now, this current set of aviation personnel, they don't even have the training. They don't know how to handle passengers. And situations like this, you see them running, and even the station manager, you won't find the station manager.
I was just going to ask you, I just wanted you to finish, because you see, a lot of the times, we go after titles, and the realization for me is that those titles are useless. So I'll give you an example. Somebody says he's a station manager for an airline at an airport. The only time that you see that station manager is when a VIP is present. But for everyday passengers, they are never there. Now, this is despite the fact that the cost of air travel is so high. How do you identify a station manager for an airline at the airport?
Well, I would just say maybe you are not observant enough. A station manager will always have a tag on for you to identify his designation. A station manager will be the one coordinating the passenger service unit, that's the ticketing and reservation, the boarding procedures, and is the one that's actually checking at the point of entry. You see tickets and checking the actuals. Especially in Nigeria, you see it. In foreign airlines, you might not see a station manager coming to do that. But you see, when you don't ask questions, you don't know. All you need to do, if you have an issue, is to walk up to a station manager, one of the staff that you want to meet your station manager, and they will gladly point the guy at you. But a lot of people don't even know. Just like I say, a lot of passengers don't even know their rights. So if you don't know your rights, how do you address issues when it comes up? Those are the challenges.
All right. So as of today now, you approach a station manager, you go and have a conversation with the station manager and say, this is your challenge.
Yeah.
What is the station manager going to do about a flight that has been delayed for 6 or 7 hours? Ordinarily, what is he supposed to do?
Those are exceptional cases. Any flight that is more than 5-6 hours on ground, that means the station manager cannot help it. It's beyond its capacity, and they will tell you it's operational reasons. That's why you see them saying it's operational reasons. You can't help it. What if there's no fuel? What if they have a snag on the aircraft and they have to fix it? Those are the issues. How do you attend to a problem that has to do with a snag on the aircraft?
Yes.
Or maybe AOG, you have to go and change it and all that, and the space is not available, especially if they are doing a multi-sector flight.
Are you telling me that a lot of the times when you have those delayed flights that are 4 hours, 5 hours, is due to technical issues?
It might be technical. I won't come out and say yes, it's technical. It might be technical issue. It might be aviation. Lately now in Nigeria, I will tell you, most of the when they tell you technical issues, technical, it might be fuel. And most of the fuel now, Jet 811 now is cash and carry. If you don't have your cash, they won't sell for you. So that's a technical issues you can't help.
So you mentioned something earlier on. You mentioned, let me summarize what you mentioned. You mentioned the fact that spares for the aircraft, maintenance, and all of that, you pay for in exchange.
Yeah.
Do you pay for in exchange for Jet A1 too?
No, Jet A1 is strictly the aviation fuel for aircraft. And I don't know how they do the importation. Maybe a section or one of the guys, the big guys are the one in charge of it. But most of it, you see that the people bringing in the Jet 21 will always want to have money before they even supply any airline. Before now, we used to operate and Owando used to fuel us. Then we'll make a deposit of 3 million. That's a cash deposit. Owando, at any point in time, we'll call for fuel, they will come and fuel us. But I tell you, these days, most airlines are owing so much that they can't even have a huge deposit with the filling station. And those ones will, at a point, will not want to fuel them. Few of the airlines, they'll tell you, even the ones that supply them spares, they'll tell you, don't supply spares. Even the foreign partner will mention airlines and say, don't supply them spares anymore. Because they are owing. So those are the challenges.
But why are they owing, and why are they owing so much at the same time?
That question will be directly to the airline. As it's beyond me coming to tell you.
Passengers are buying tickets. Are they not?
I agree with you, yeah. But you know, I don't want to speak for airline. I'll just say from my experience, when I was a station manager, we never had issues like that. Clearly because the organization we work with, I think they are more organized. Even at the point when we folded up, we didn't have any huge outstanding debts with NCAA, fan landing, and all that. Because when you have a dynamic MD, somebody that is proactive, he thinks ahead, he will give you room to take decisions as a station manager. Most airlines don't do that. And I want to recommend that to most airlines now. Because of accountability and people not being sincere with money.
Yeah.
They don't give station manager the discretion and decisions to make when it comes to fueling and ticketing. In my airline then, my MD will tell you, don't keep debt for me on landing. I have AMB 130, Embraer 130, and 120 around. My per landing is about 2,200. 2,200 naira because of the weight of the aircraft. You know, fan will do weight to determine your landing fee. And they tell you every month, pay off this money. We have a sales report, daily, weekly. This is what you are. Every week, you go and pay your landing.
So wait,
more flexible when you do things like this. But you see, most of the airlines will tell you, pay the money to the company first. Company will now issue the money, pay fan, pay this, pay. Before you know it, from 2,000 naira, you are owing 2 million, you are owing 5 million, and it become an issue. It's the same thing with aviation fuel. For me, I think they should give rooms for the station managers to be more flexible in taking decisions. Some will report to Lagos for anything. Like a case in already, if I were to be the station manager, my aircraft is on ground, I have 34 passengers that are going on my flight because the door is shut. I have room for LMC on my load sheet. I will tell the pilot I have 34 passengers that have paid for the flight. All he needs to do is to shut down the engine, come back and do it. Don't stick to professionalism when you have issues like this to solve. You don't stick to professionalism when you leave passengers behind. How do I have a 34 passenger paid for, and because I have closed the door, as a station manager, I won't ask my pilot to open the door and put this passenger in. I won't have issues for it. In the low sheet, there is LMC, last minute change. All the guy needs to do is to bring down the low sheet, put the last minute change, and put the passenger on board and come to Lagos. We save you the stress of reporting to NCA, give me a refund and all that. But you see, there are some decisions you can't even make as a station manager because they have not given you such powers. I'm sure if the guy tries it, they will sanction him. But where I'm coming from, the kind of training I have, we are flexible. When you are flexible, you can make decisions and tell you, my MD, I've done a flight, charter flight to Abuja from Ilorin. I didn't collect money. I just told my MD I have a charter I have to do. Do you know what he said? He said, I don't care how you do it, just get my money to the company account. And I have the confidence of the charterer, and I tell them, look, this is the situation. Say, come in on board the flight. When you get to Abuja, you get your money. And I followed the flight to Abuja, came back, they gave me the cash, I paid into the company's account, which is even a plus to the company because it's even a non-scheduled operation which happened on the weekend. So you see, when you have good relationship with the management team, things work easily. But because everybody wants to be MD, is the final decision, you can't make decision without consulting with your head of ground operation, account department, and everything. That's when you have all these challenges. Thank you.
So now, majorly, two things that I picked. The first is, one, there are a lot of charges that are associated with running an airline.
Definitely.
Now, you mentioned landing charges according to weight.
There's 5% NCA tax on passenger service. There's passenger service you pay at the airport. You pay landing per landing, then other charges too. And those are all inclusive in what the passenger is paying. But I tell you what, if you don't separate those money, you know what we did? We have separate accounts for all those money. PSC, that's passenger service fee, per ticket, TSC, cargo fee, fan. We have separate accounts in bank. Every station manager will break it down on his sales book and deposit that money in the account for every day you finish your flight operation or the following morning. Did you get the scenario? At any point in time, you know how much you have, and you know in 1 week, in 1 month, you are paying this. You pay it conveniently. But when you model up the money, everything goes into one common purse, the company's account. It becomes an issue. Because something that come out, MD will need this money and they'll take it off and use it.
So the challenges of the operations basically cut across from finance to ground staff.
Even to the management. You know the Nigerian factor of I'm the owner of this airline. I see it. It comes to play every time. I've worked in a company, Pricewaterhouse came up, they want to know, they are asking the MD, the managing director, how did you spend it? And the man got angry and said, is it your money? Why are you asking me? I'm telling you. And at the point, Pricewaterhouse said, I'm sorry, we can't audit you guys again. So those are the challenges. When you tell airlines, can't you just merge? Can't we just merge? Do like how the bank's operation is. No, everybody wants to be MD CEO. And you can't even fund or run the airline.
So is it a case of running an airline business in Nigeria is not profitable?
I would say it's not profitable, especially the passenger service. Okay, you're buying this ticket at this Now everybody is fixing prices for whatever, especially this season. And by the time you calculate what you are making, you think you are making huge amount of money. By the time you break it down and you know taxes and everything you are paying, you will discover you are maybe like 50% of the revenue goes to servicing of NCA to NEMA and all that. And you've got salaries to pay, you've got bills to pay. And before you know it, you discover you are running into debt. I, for one, I tell people, I say, look, I'd rather do a cargo operation than to do a passenger service.
But for cargo as well, we have heard that there are so many charges, and that is why it's so expensive to export goods from Nigeria using air cargo.
You know, for cargo operation, it's a non-scheduled operation. It's calculated based on what I'm carrying. If I have a 30-ton aircraft, I have a 50-ton aircraft, I have to get that before I can even break even or make profit. If it's a 40-ton aircraft, you can't do anything less than 40 ton. If you do anything less than 40 ton, you are shooting yourself in the foot. So why the cargo operation is more like this? There's no passenger service fee. There's no what do I call it now? Refreshment on the flight. And we are doing a long haul flight. Of course, you know, passengers service will come into place, catering and all that. Those are not included in your expenses on the passenger service, on the cargo operations, like a passenger service. So if you get it right, I know what you are doing in cargo operations, you make more money than passenger service. And that's the truth.
Well, I was hoping that Mr. Sheyi you would have been able to join us so that he could have told us about his experience at Owerri and how, you know, the issue was handled and how it's still being handled, because I believe that issue is not yet over.
No, it's not resolved yet. It's still pending. We'll file the official report to NCA. NCA have not gotten back to us. I was hoping the next edition of this NCA Customer Protection Unit will be on ground to come and talk more on how to handle issues like this and see how we can go forward with
like
this.
Like we mentioned to you, we are getting in touch with them and we are hoping that, you know, they'll be available, you know, to talk to us soon. Because one of the things that we would like to do is we would like to enlighten people in Nigeria, Nigerians basically, about their rights, you know, for local flights. Because right now, this is the peak season where everybody is traveling. Everybody is moving from point A to point B, and they need to be able to do that happily because this is supposed to be a happy season. So probably if NCAA can tell people or come out to tell people, look, these are the challenges and this is how you can deal with those challenges, then everybody is a winner. The airline wins, the passengers win, and then NCAA, of course, will be seen to be doing its job as well. So that will be a win for NCAA as well. So we're almost certain they will come because it's an opportunity for them to tell Nigerians that, yes, this is what we are doing, and they're actually working effectively. So we are looking forward to that. Hopefully,
that would be lovely because NCA will be able to throw more light into the picture of how they handle passenger complaints and ticket refunds, especially the ticket refund. I'll tell you what, most of the airlines won't even want to hear anything ticket refund. They will not want. They don't want to hear it.
Funny enough, I've had one or two airlines refund money to me. You know, for
when was this? When was this?
Maybe like a year or 2 years ago.
I still have an understanding with one airline during the COVID that I was supposed to fly in from Accra to Lagos. Until date, I've not collected my refund. Nobody said anything.
I'm talking of a local flight. Funny enough, for an international flight, there's an airline that has been owing me money for 2 years.
Yeah. So let the NCA come and throw more light into this and see how they can help us out. We as operators here, we've tried our own bit. We've tried to manage the crisis and see just to stay afloat. That's the word. Most airlines are just staying afloat. That's
Okay.
true. That's why when you see their financials.
Thank you very much for taking out the time to join us tonight. We're going to be getting NCAA to come over and have a discussion with us and just, try and enlighten people on what it is that they are doing as regards all of this wahala that is on the ground. Everybody complaining has been going on for years. Delayed flights, no customer protection, no regard, for customers when they buy tickets and they want to fly. Some people just sit in the airport and wait for hours without any resolution. So hopefully NCAA is going to come on. But when NCAA is coming here, just to show that it is not only Nigeria that has the challenges that you see, on ground. I'm going to be playing a couple of clips on the next show where we're talking to NCAA on aviation issues in Nigeria about my ordeal in Frankfurt. I'm sure none of you want to miss it because we don't believe it. They call police from you for complaining on my rights. So it's not only in Nigeria that you have these challenges. So let's stop, bashing Nigeria continuously by saying things like it's only in Nigeria. Let us try to see the positive things that come out of Nigeria. Let us try to see how Nigerians, quite a number of them, and I think they are in the majority, are still trying their best to see that Nigeria is a country that works. There are so many people in the diaspora who want to come back to Nigeria, but because of the challenges that they see, that's why they are not coming. Some do come, and then they face those challenges, and they feel that those challenges ordinarily should not be there. We hope that at some point, all of us will come together and be able to agree that every environment has its own challenges. I want to thank you very much, everybody, for taking out the time to join us. Akin, you have a great night. Thank you for joining us. We hope when NCAA comes up, you'll be watching. And if there's a need to, maybe we'll invite you to join us as well, so that you can join the conversation with the NCAA, so that we can have a very interesting evening. Thank you very much, everybody, for taking out the time to join us. You have
Thank you. And once again, I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be part of this. I do hope to feature whenever you need me. Just give me a call and I'll be here for you guys. Thank you so much, and thanks for having me.
Thank you. You have a great evening.
All right. Good night.
Good night. So, interesting conversation with Akin, even though there's still a couple of areas that are not, that are still very gray. And that is actually because I don't know anything about the aviation business. I know a couple of people who operate in that sector, but I actually have never looked at that sector as anything that I could understand, because I've never had an interest in doing any business in the aviation sector. So there are a lot of things that somewhere along the line, maybe we are going to still be able to bring Akin or somebody else as well, or both of them, or a couple of people on to tell us about the aviation business. There could be quite a few areas that entrepreneurs could offer services that they are not aware of. A lot of young people who are trying to set up businesses might learn a thing or two from it, and they'll probably be able to set up something to service the aviation industry. We'll look into that. We'll see what we can do about it. Now, the year 2022 has come to an end, more or less. It's just barely a week left. We want to thank all of you that have stood by us 2021, 2020, and now 2022. We are deeply grateful to all of you. We hope that in the new year, 2023, when we start a new round, due to the new positioning that we are taking with From a Radio, you'll still be with us. You'll still continue to give us your support. And probably this time around, help us to start making some money. It's time for From a Radio to make money. We've been trying to work on that for quite a bit. But as things usually go, we try to not be a burden to people that support us. So we want to thank you all. You have a great evening. Have a very, very Merry Christmas. and we'll see you before the new year so that we could probably do one more show and, if possible, the new year countdown together. You all have a fantastic Christmas. Good night.